tātou, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February Council meeting for Ōtorohanga District Council. Just Kaya, I'm checking we are recording now. Correct. Okay. Councillor Watterson, could I ask you to say with the opening karakia, please?
Morena tātou, e te atu kāra o tēnei rā mātu te tēnei ki rami tēnei o tātou nei. Papa, te mai ku whiti, me te inoi ki a koe ki tukuna tunu mai o te ki maramatanga ki rungi a mātu ki rungi te kīngi, ki runga no ki ngā tina nei mau. Tēnā, kunga pau aru, rātou whatōku pani ki kā kōko wahena kei te pō. Mau anau ki mātou te kunaki ngā whakatoa, mau anau ki whenwhere i ngā kaipapa kei mui a mātu i tēnei rā. Tukua mai, tō mai rangi a te whai ki rungi a mātu i tēnei wā, mau anau ki mātou chaki ngāki.
Thank you, Councillor. This morning we do have one apology, and that is from Councillor Prendergast. I'd like to accept that apology. Do I have a second, please? Second, Councillor Jeffries. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Words of wisdom. Sorry, I know you've been just hanging out for this moment, Councillor. My apologies.
Good morning, everyone. I've got two this morning. The first one's by, I don't know who, it's unknown. Teamwork divides the task and multiplies the success. And then success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that's from Winston Churchill.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I think that second one was pertinent to the conversation we had about my work this morning. And the other one about working together as a council, absolutely. It is a joint decision, and councils across the country are absolutely struggling with that at the moment. Look, moving on to the public forum, we have Kingi Wettery who wishes to address council this morning. Welcome, Kingi. So just come up and sit at the front there, Kingi, and the right button on the mic in front of you will enable you to speak. Thank you.
All good? Yeah. I've got to put my glasses on. Good morning, my name is Kingi and I reside at 78 Ōtorohanga Road. Ōtorohanga Road is a collector road that provides access to Ōtorohanga from the north. There are currently 21 occupied homes and around 20 driveways on a 1.5 kilometre stretch. 11 driveways have limited visibility when entering or exiting. And as a long-term resident, we have noticed changes to the road alignment that promotes faster driving. My specific concern is about the current placement of the 50 kilometre, 100 kilometre sign. Furthermore, there is a complete absence of a speed transition process for vehicles entering and exiting Ōtorohanga via Ōtorohanga Road. I think this poses a risk and a danger to both residents and traffic. While preparing this application, I came across an article on Wakakahi's website regarding the reduction of speed limits. And it goes, although technical advice is essential in speed reviews, local knowledge and experience of using our roads is also critical to this process. Conversation with the local community can provide valuable insight and knowledge on how people use the road and their concerns regarding road safety. Now, over the years, myself and several other residents have approached the council to raise concerns about the rising volume and speed of road traffic in our area. This poses a significant risk to both residents and drivers, not to mention the cost of repairing the damage caused to properties of residents. The 50 kilometre speed limit changes to 100 kilometres at 24 Ōtorohanga Road, but the concrete footpath continues to 56. Our council mows the grass verge on both sides of the road out to 56 Ōtorohanga Road. We were concerned about the safety of the workers and submitted 2 safety reports on the council website. I also spoke to 5 council personnel regarding workers' safety. I am pleased to inform you that Monday, the 11th of February, 2024, this is, traffic management measures have been implemented to ensure the safety of workers who mow the grass between the footpath and the road. The council has recognised that vehicles travelling at 100 kilometres poses a significant risk to the safety of these workers and has taken the necessary steps to protect them from harm. What about the school children and the local community that use the footpath? Is the council looking after them? We believe the current speed limit of 100 kilometres is putting the safety of our children and pedestrians who use the footpath at risk. There are residents on Ōtorohanga Road who are hesitant to walk along the footpath because they fear becoming a victim of the next driver who loses control of his vehicle. Sorry, I've got my pages around the wrong way. Don't get that one. I can hardly believe there's a 50-kilometre speed limit sign on a blind bend. And just 80 metres further along the road is our largest school. So, sorry, I just can't understand that. Now, this is a bit confusing, so I'll take a little bit of time on it. There has been 7 vehicle accidents on a 570-metre stretch of Ōtorohanga Road between 51 and 108 from December 21 to December 23. So what I'm saying there is that the time frame is 29th of December 2021 was the first accident. And we've gone through to December 2023. That's 24 months. And the stretch of the distance between 51 Ōtorohanga and 108 is 570 metres. So that's a very short distance. And in 24 months, we've had 7 accidents. It's concerning and it's concerning, and I urge the council to reduce the speed limit. These accidents illustrate the gravity of this matter. I'll list the accidents. A vehicle travelling from Te Awamutu crosses the centre line, collided with the fence located opposite 108 Ōtorohanga Road. The impact caused damage to several fence posts and the vehicle bounced off a tree stump before coming to stop 50 metres into a paddock. St John's and the police were called out and the rescue helicopter came and collected the driver. A green Toyota Hilux spins out of control and ends up in the drain in front of 108. Emergency services called, were on site and the driver needed medical assistance. A blue Mazda crashed into the bank located between 78 and 108. The bumper and the engine sump guard are still on its crash site. The car was parked in my driveway for 2 days before being towed away. The police inquired if we wanted to charge the driver of a car that crashed into our fence approximately 20 metres north of 55 Ōtorohanga Road. A hatchback crashed through the fence 20 metres north of 56 Ōtorohanga Road and ended up in the drain. Emergency services were called. The driver was taken to Waikato Hospital. A tow truck was used to lift the vehicle out of the drain. December just gone, a stolen ute crashes into the road fence at 55. Only one post was replaced. Police were attended. A Ford Falcon crashed into the road fence separating 51 and 55 Ōtorohanga. The Ford Falcon came to rest on the front lawn of 55. The collision caused damage to 3 wooden rails, 4 strainer posts, 6 fence posts, 2 metal gates, and they had to replace the letterbox. And as I say, the car was on the front lawn, 2 metres from the house. An insurance claim was filed by Ellen the plumber, the panel beater. We request that the placement of the 50-kilometre signs be moved further out on Ōtorohanga Road, north of 108, because this is a high-risk rural road. The description of a high-risk rural road is provided by Waka Kotahi website. High-risk rural roads are essentially lengths of road with a higher than average crash risk, and by implication are roads where targeted safety improvements are most likely to reduce trauma. High-risk rural roads are where the greatest reduction in severe casualties can be achieved, which is why they represent one of the highest priorities for investigation. And I believe that the distance between 105, 151 and 108 is a high-risk rural area, 7 accidents. As I conclude my presentation on the proposed speed reduction, it's an imperative to reflect on the key points. Moving the transition zone further away from the school is not only a prudent decision, but also a necessary one for the safety and well-being of students and community at large. Now, by taking this proactive step, you not only ensure the security of our children, but you also uphold your responsibility as stewards of public safety and well-being. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and we trust that you will carefully consider the merits of the proposal as we move forward. And one last thing, please don't bunch it up with everybody else's problems, and we just keep this to Ōtorohanga Road. Thank you.
Look, thanks, King. Thanks for your time. Any questions, councillors? King, from here, what we do is when we get some councillor alone time later on in the meeting, that is when we sit down and discuss this matter. And I know that you've talked to Mark, our engineering manager, and you've talked to him about the roading, about Ōtorohanga Road and where we are with speed management. So, you know, you coming along here today was a really important part of that equation. So I thank you, your whānau, and your support for coming here, and we'll look at addressing the problem.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you. You can take it. I think we know the implications of what's going on out there. Not a problem. Thank you. Right, councillors, is there any late items for today's agenda? Put your hand up. No, okay, thank you. Do any councillors need to or feel they should declare a conflict of interest in any of today's agenda items? No, thank you. Confirmation of minutes of 12th of December. Do we have a mover and a seconder for those, please? Moved Councillor Hughes, second Councillor Dow, all in favour? Carried, thank you. Receipt of minutes. Which minutes for those? Sorry. Community Board and Kāpia Community Board minutes. We've moved a second for those. Councillor Jeffries by the looks. Thank you. Second Councillor Christensen, all in favour?
All right.
Carried, thank you.
Excuse me, Your Worship, there was just one thing on the 12th of December, under the item 100, the Ngāti Te Wehi Marine claim. The minutes record David Apathy attended the meeting. It's actually Davis Apathy. Can we just make that amendment, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other points, councillor? Thank you. Moving on to my mural update for February 2024. Obviously the start of the year, and January was quite a welcome break from the pressures of bombing of last year, and a great introduction to the start of this year. So the end of 2023 finished with a social event with elected members of Waitomo, Waipara and Ōtorohanga councils, which was long overdue, and I think it was enjoyed by all. January was quiet, with the first activity being the long-term planning workshop on the 30th. I caught up with Julian Snowball, the Civil Defence Emergency Management leader from Hamilton. That was on the 31st of January. Then that night I had an evening's dinner with all the past rangatahi that I've mentored over the years. We did a 6-month review of MTFJ on February the 1st with Al, Nadia and myself in attendance, just to give us an update of how well Ōtorohanga has been doing, the expectations at a national level and improvements we can make going forward. We had Kevin Adams' farewell on the 9th. Then I had a meeting with DIA that same day. I went up to Te Kotahi Marae to the Ōtorohanga with Zach Henry, which was a really big day. I reckon there's about 120 odd people there in attendance, which is, yeah, really quite significant. And then I caught up with Mayor Robson again on the 12th. We had another workshop on the 13th, the MTFJ catch up on the 15th, another workshop on the 20th. Then I caught up with my tuia rangatahi for this year out at Waitonga on the 21st. Then I just welcomed the Wintec students that are participating in the health and wellbeing course at the Wintec in Ōtorohanga this year. And then an MTFJ governance meeting yesterday. So that's an overview of what I've been doing outside of the norm. Any questions from anybody? If not, I'd like to ask that my report be received. Seconded, Councillor Jeffries, on favour? Carried, thank you. Right, moving on to reports, item 106, road naming. Jamie, you're leading this.
Yes, good morning, Your Worship, councillors and members of council staff. I'd like to speak to the road naming report and ask that the council accepts the report as read, adopts the recommendations and approves the road name, the new road, private road name as Kotari Road. If there's any questions, I'm happy to field those now. Sorry, Kotari Lane.
No questions, councillors? Okay, so we have a recommendation here that Ōtorohanga District Council approve this. Wrong one. Ōtorohanga District Council resolve pursuant to section 319, part 1, item 1, part J of the Local Government Act 1974, that the access lots within the North King Country Developments Limited subdivision on Harper's Ave, Ōtorohanga, shown as lots 205 and 206 on the attached draft title plan, being private right of way access be named Kotari Lane. We've moved on a second of that. We have Councillor Christensen, second Councillor Dow, all in favour? Carried. Thank you, Jamie. Moving on to item 107, consultation on the draft waste management and minimisation plan. Jared.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors. Just a real quick background on where we're up to. This is quite a lengthy process we're going through. As you'll recall, in December, we brought the waste assessment to council to be received, and as part of that, we made the decision to renew and update our waste management and minimisation plan. We've now written our draft, and as part of the Waste Minimisation Act, we need to go through the special consultative process. And this report here has the draft document for approval to go to consultation in March. So without any further babbling on, I'll go over for any questions.
Thanks, Jared. Any questions, councillors? Councillor
Jared.
Dow and Councillor Jeffries.
Do we get, it's just a funding thing, we can get 50% of funding or something off the government, central government, like, is that like, why I'm asking? Basically, from next month on, every new tire we buy, we've got to pay in $28 to some fund for base, like, every month the car tire, we've got to pay $8, I think, so. Are we going to be able to dip into that fund, you know, or do you know about that?
I haven't heard too much about that fund, actually. I've only sort of been deep in our waste levy, which is actually waste to landfill, but I haven't heard about the tyre ones yet. But if there is a fund out there, I'll look into it and we'll definitely try to put our hand up.
Yeah, we've got to pay to get them, we've got to pay to throw them away as well, so we've got to pay twice. Good old government.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffries.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Really just points of clarification, if I may. 6.6 of your report under the heading financial, that's on page 3 of your report. The budget report indicates 30,000 for waste minimisation initiatives and 20,000 K for waste audit, but we've got income of 140. So just interested as to whether we're actually showing all of the costs there, or whether the income we get from this waste levy funding is always going to exceed our expenditure.
No, so that there is other projects that sit within that waste levy fund that we fund as well. So that's just some specialised projects that they single out of that fund.
Okay. Right, no, thanks. And the waste levy funding, that's done on a per capita basis, is that right?
No, it's done more on tonnage of waste.
Tonnage of waste. And you mentioned later on in the report about coloured crates. How many crates are going to be, or envisaged to be provided to each property, and at what cost? Have you got any idea what that's going to cost?
So we are currently working on that at the moment. I've just booked a slot with Kaya for another workshop. We are currently doing a joint project with Waitomo. We were able to secure 75% of that funding from MFE as going as a joint, which looks at our whole curbside, our food waste, everything, and we'll be pricing the different options, and we'll be coming back before we go out with a new contract on what exactly we will be sitting down with. So you guys will have some input into that, but that's current work in progress.
In the policy itself, Jared, under 1.5, we talk about Ōtorohanga's current waste situation. You say the disposal rate of domestic curbside refuse for Ōtorohanga has been calculated to be 58 kilograms per capita. That's an interesting figure, because that's only about a K per person per year, which doesn't sound a lot. Does that obviously include all the recycling?
No, so that figure was just taken from our refuse side, just our pure rubbish side of things. So your weight does go up when you add your recycling, because you have glass in that. And those figures were taken from the audits we did on the refuse bags, our yellow bags.
So if the estimated 65% of your surveyed rubbish, which is included in your curbside yellow bag collection, is separated out, do we have any idea what effect it will have on our current charges to landfill?
No, we don't get directly charged. That it would have an effect on, you pay as per your yellow bag, but it's pay as you use at the moment. So the more yellow bags you buy, that covers that cost. Our cost is just the actual collection part of that. So the disposal cost is set in the yellow bag pricing.
Thanks. And just one last question, if I may. It's in the at the end of the document, under 3.2.5, we talk about leadership and management. Can't give you a page number, sorry, make it easier. But you talk about product stewardship schemes for waste streams such as e-waste and tyres, what management options for these waste streams. Is there any suggestion that that we could require manufacturers of tyres, electric vehicle batteries, blah blah blah, and so on, to make a contribution to the cost of the disposal as the exacerbators in some ways?
Yeah, so that's
It's
what's
already
happening,
happening?
but it's there's basically a hierarchy of problem products, and they're working through product stewardship through the problems, and obviously there's been a bit of movement on tyres already, but that product stewardship is, yeah, trying to put a little bit more emphasis back on the manufacturers and take the pressure off councils and our ratepayers who have effectively covered the cost for a lot of those.
No, very good. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
Good report, Jared. Just a question, page 75 on 3.2.4 infrastructure. Just have you got are there any plans for the community resource recovery park? Where and what?
So we're currently, that was brought up as, I think it is, I'm not sure if it was our last LTP or our TCP, they're sort of a little blurred together. And we've got money aside. We're about to start a feasibility study where we just look at our waste streams and that, and is it financially viable with our waste stream to actually run one? So we're working on that, and that'll also take into account the infrastructure of where it could go, what buildings are available.
And second question is just on page 69 on regulation, and it just says about introducing a solid waste management bylaw that enables private waste operators to be licensed, and as a license condition, consent part require provision of data to council and consenting to have waste audited. I'm just thinking that this can't be too onerous for that. Because is it going to be an annual snapshot or monthly, or what's the plan there? I don't want that to be bogged down in bureaucracy.
Yeah, so most councils have a solid waste bylaw. We're one of the few that don't. But any data management, any refuse that any private people take is weighed at the landfill site. Everything's weighed on the way in, so it could be quite a simple process to monitor that data. A lot of councils have that already because they manage their own landfills. But yeah, it would have to make it a smooth process, or you just get more data if you make it difficult.
Yeah, I'm happy with just a wait. I just sort of saw that auditing thing there, and I was wondering whether they had to what they had on board and sort of thing. Yeah. Okay.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, good to see that the rural waste is being mentioned occasionally in the report, and on page measuring and monitoring. Next page. Page 70. To increase monitoring and surveying, are we speaking to each other and across departments and enabling you to have access to ratepayers' contact details? So, and how many, well, a couple of things. How many people are emailing communication for invoices and what have you? And are we able to also, under Privacy Act, ask them questions about their rural waste? Is that going to be another whole project of contacting all of us out in the rural area so that we can contribute, or?
I haven't looked deeply into how that other councils have started that process. Others do it. So as part of the waste liaison group, when we start implementing some of those, I will reach out to them. People have ways and means of doing these things already, so I won't have to reinvent the wheel there. I haven't looked deeply.
But as far as our own customer relationship software goes, and the times that we reach out to our residents and say, can we email you? Do you agree that we can contact you about? Is waste going to be one of those things?
I would think you could probably put some sort of, with your rates letters, another information letter in with that. At that point would probably be the easiest.
Yeah, because
Attach it to the email or the old style snail mail letter.
just noting the comment I heard behind me that we've only got half the picture. and going through recruitment recently as well. Yeah. In 3 conversations in the last 2 days, I find 3 different levels of waste management in the rural area, from none to those of us that, yeah, the rubbish that you're measuring from us, you're preaching to the converted, and it's that the other half of the picture that is the worry.
And that's always the difficult part with any of this is, you know, the people that are doing well will always do well in that space.
Councillor Christensen.
With the feasibility study for the recovery part, are we also including in that feasibility, maybe cross boundaries with Waitomo? If we're already getting, you know, like cross boundaries to get that funding of 75%, are we looking at doing that for the recovery part too?
So as part of any feasibility study, with us being a small council with neighbours nearby, we have to take into account with what they are doing and what they are looking at as well. And I'm working closely with them on a couple of projects, so I'll definitely be speaking to them around that as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, since we're so small, maybe we should be doing this feasibility jointly.
It depends whether they're actually, are they planning to do some sort of feasibility into a resource? I mean, it's timing, isn't it? It's, you know, it's a bit like Mark with the contract we've had with Waipa. They've approached us to do another contract, but we don't have any work to do a combined contract. So it just doesn't work for us. And I don't know, timing maybe, or they may not even be thinking of doing a resource recovery.
Yeah, I haven't
on a part.
broached it
I'm not
with them.
sure.
Once we engage
But
someone to
we've got-
carry this out, we will. But the other thing, that other funding that we've got is pretty tightly ring fenced for what it's for, and it's a lot to do with their new rules and regulations.
I knew that. I didn't expect that funding to cross over into our feasibility study, but I just would hate for us to put money into a feasibility study only to find out our neighbours were doing the same thing, and we should be collaborating.
Any further questions? Good report, good questions. Good luck with the consultation.
Thank you.
So we have recommendation here that Ōtorohanga District Council approve the statement proposal, review and update the waste minimalisation and management plan 2018 to 24 for public consultation from 1st of March to 31st March 2024 in accordance with the Local Government Act 2002. Move Councillor Johnston, second Councillor Christensen. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you, Your Worship and councillors.
Moving on to item 108, long-term plan timeline options. Graham. Page 87.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, so as we work through our long-term plan timetable, there's a number of decisions that have been made at workshops where we need to document those. So these are key decisions that actually are important in terms of the consolidation of the document. So while we're going through this, and there'll be a further report come to council, we're actually recording those, and so we'll probably bring those back to the March meeting, Tanya, with one report. So just so that we're actually got a council resolution to support those, and so further down the track, when we wonder how we decided to do that, we've actually got some record there. So this report effectively is after the proposed, well, it's going to go ahead now. It's going through the House at the moment. Repeal of Three Waters legislation, and the requirement to now include Three Waters. We were given some options around whether we wanted to defer time frame by another 3 months. Subsequent to me writing this report, we've now been presented with a further option, which is effectively to prepare
an annual plan. And then, which effectively would be the fourth year, and then that would put us on a 2-year cycle to complete the long-term plan. So I'll take the report as read as a full sort of options analysis. So the recommendation is that we just proceed effectively as normal with our 2034 long-term plan. Audits are currently here at the moment, and so we're proposing to stick to the current timetable and adopt by the end of June. Questions?
Thanks, Graham. The report explains well what our options are, and it's quite clear. And I suppose pleased that the staff recommendation is that we carry on as per normal. I suppose the question there, and it's mentioned in the report that we do have the capacity, although we're going to be stretched somewhat, as long as we're comfortable that we can get through. Okay, I like the nodding. It's cool. So
Through you, Worship, did you talk about the annual plan?
just
Oh, sorry.
Graham just mentioned the last one.
Coming at me, so
Yeah,
sorry,
so
I missed that.
there's a couple of
Right.
councils that obviously looking at it's just too challenging for them to get their long-term plan amount of time, so just going to adopt an annual plan. As Graham just said, that's an option that's put to us, which for me is rather unpalatable, but not if we can get through the timeframes in front of us. Councillor Dow.
If we just went the annual plan option, though, why then we would know NZTA's subsidy? Is that we don't know that, do we? Is that,
So what was the question?
well, the other option that's just throw us, it's just a new option, but that we could just have an annual plan. And then, because at the moment we're doing a long-term plan, but we don't actually know what
Yep.
NZTA's subsidy is, do we? We just guess.
Yeah, so all of the councils around the country are in the same boat, and not all of them are choosing to do an annual plan. The ones that are usually the high growth councils that have hit all their caps and can't make the finances work. In terms of what it would mean is we just keep going with our long-term plan. We've still got to do a long-term plan, but we have to do it next year. So we stretch out the time frame, and you keep coming to workshops, and it's kind of a bit of prolonged agony.
Remember, we're
Am I
going to have a
selling
meeting and
this
get
to
them
you?
wiped.
Yeah.
We're going to get them all wiped, all these
Yeah,
plans.
so I reckon we box on. The advice is we box on. Yes, we've got uncertainty around the Wakakatahi subsidy, but yeah, so as everyone else, the auditors know that, and we'll just go with it, I think, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, just on, sorry, thank you, Graham, just on on page 88 in that A box, and it just says that one of the risks are that staff are under pressure to reintroduce the Three Waters info. So that info is already there. We're just reintroducing it, or are we altering it? Is that like asset management plans?
Yeah, I mean, Mark probably give more detail, but we're just in terms of where we're at with reintroducing all Three Waters. I'd made a comment there, Mark, about we were going to be under more pressure in terms of reintroducing all that information back into the document.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a significant activity that we weren't expecting to put in there. Now we're trying to put it back in. So we're still currently working on it.
So it's actually new information. It's not just reintroducing stuff. So it's putting you under the pressure.
Well, the key was that we were only expecting to put in 2 years of budgets for Three Waters, because our transition was supposed to be between now and 2026. So now we've had to introduce 10 years and also bring it into the infrastructure strategy, which is 30 years. So it's almost a complete reset of the way we were thinking and how we finance capital expenditure, operating costs over the next 10 years rather than 2.
Thank you, Mark. So we're taking on board. I'm still going to go with the positive nods around the table, Mark, that all it can be achieved within the timeframes to get an LTP adopted.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. We're pushing forward with that.
Okay, yeah, of course, no pressure. That's what we wake up for, Mark? Now, all good. Any further questions, councillors? Okay, therefore, we have a staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council include Three Waters in the draft 24-34 long-term plan, align with the legislative timeframes by adopting a final 24-34 long-term plan by the end of June 2024, and reserve the right to change timeframes if new legislation necessitates this. I'd like to move that. Seconded, Councillor Tamaki. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thanks, Graham. Moving on to item 109, coalition government policy and legislation update. Tony, welcome.
Kia ora koutou, worship and councillors. So we thought it might be quite useful just to give you an update of what we know around what the coalition proposes. It is, and I do have one update as a result of a presentation from MFE. So this shows how out of date this becomes. So if you look at table 2, number 11 talked about introducing fast track resource consents. So that's already in the Natural and Built Environment Act that was repealed, but they kept that bit in. And so MFE have now advised us that that's actually part of their first 100 days, which ends on the 8th of March. So by the 8th of March, they'll introduce a new bill for fast track consenting, and they hope to have that enacted mid-2024. So that's the only update there.
Tony, sorry, through you, Your Worship. So fast track consenting is for nationally significant projects? Is that what?
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know. That's what it's traditionally been used for,
Yeah,
eh?
so-
They've been called in, or the
Yeah.
council has put them forward as nationally significant projects. eh?
Exactly, yeah, thanks. So for the background, it sort of came in around COVID, and I think there was 2 different pieces of legislation. There's the COVID fast tracking, and then they thought that was a good idea to make it a bit more permanent for national infrastructure projects. The understanding from MFE, and they're a little bit coy because the person who was presenting was writing the bill. What they said is it's broadening out. So it's likely to be more than just infrastructure. And what we were told is it includes prohibited activities. So traditionally, under the RMA, if there's a prohibited activity in a plan, you can't even apply for resource consent. Our understanding is that this fast track bill will allow the government to look at prohibited activities and whether they should be granted. It gives quite high, almost absolute discretion to the minister. So it comes with a few risks, we think, but we'll see what we get.
So this is part of the kind of, I guess, the direction of that government around economic kind of over environment in a way, isn't it?
So
And
mining of the Waitekare's sort of thing.
yeah. So yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see that, how that unfolds. Yeah.
Everything else, you just read through it. The Three Waters has been updated. So since the report was drafted, I've now updated that because we've got more information on that too. So that's under table 2, the local water done well bill number 1, the 24, and then the bill number 2 under item 3. Happy to take any questions. I'll take it as read if that's okay.
So Hughes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Tony, I'm fascinated by this fast track resource consenting. So locally, that could apply to things like seawalls and say upgrades to our stock banks and things like that. So that could be an advantage to us in that space, could it? Definitely.
It could be. So there's always been, I think, in terms of planning practitioners, some thought around key infrastructure, critical infrastructure should be allowed to go through a process faster because by definition it's critical and key. So those are the kind of examples where if it's protecting life or property, then they'll be really good candidates for that. What we don't know is how much wider it's going to go. So yes, there's opportunities for us and some more renewals potentially.
And then who does it then exclude from having input, you know, like the provisions around iwi input, community input, you know, like, yeah, who does it exclude from the process if it's, you know, being fast tracked is probably the questions that I have.
We should know on the 8th of March when the bill comes out. The other thing the officials did say too, they said it's going to be a very fast process through legislation. It's not being done under emergency is what we understand. So there's still going to be a parliamentary select committee, but there's going to be the advice was there's going to be very truncated ability for councils to respond once the bill comes out. There's no pre-consultation. So we'll get the bill. We want to have an opportunity to submit on the bill, and they've said, start gearing up now if we want to submit on the bill.
So we'll be heavily reliant on our sector representing, representative organisations like Taituara and LGNZ to be helping us distill the key parts of the legislation and focus us a wee bit, our submissions and stuff. So we'll keep you updated, if things happen between our meetings and workshops. Right.
So thanks, Tony. Councillor Jeffries.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, Tony, good report. Thanks very much. Just a couple of quick questions. In terms of the CCOs for water, has any consideration been given to that at this stage, or it's still too early?
Again, we put in as much as you do as what's out in the media. So the bills will set that up, and the understanding, and if you look at items 2 and 3, I think under the table 2, there's a bit of information there that we've been able to glean from what's in the public. There will be discussions that will be going behind closed doors that we're not privy to as they prepare the bill, which seems to be par for the course with a lot of the stuff they're doing at the moment as well.
Right.
So what's really in here is what we're able to share that we know at the moment, but we'll certainly update it.
But there's no suggestion that CCOs will be imposed on us. Is that something, was it a discretion, you think?
No, so our understanding is that CCOs will be an option. They're setting up a new regime for CCOs.
Okay.
And I suppose from what we understand, there'll be sort of an encouragement for councils to collaborate on a CCO. But again, the minister, it appears, will have absolute power to come in if he doesn't like what he sees to impose central government intervention. So through all of what we're seeing, there seems to be this fallback position where we'll put it back to councils, but if we don't know what we see, we can jump back up.
Okay.
Great response, Tony. If I can just add to that, we had the Waikato Chief Executive Forum on Friday, and we spent 3/4 of an hour on Waikato water done well. So our regional model. So I'll update councillors on that in CEO alone time and show you the plan that's been proposed for the Waikato, and the CCO model is one of the options, as Tony said. What we're envisaging the legislation will do is remove some of the barriers around creating a CCO, and that might include no requirement to consult with the community, which, or optional requirement to consult with the community, which is something outside of the Local Government Act, in terms of changing the model of service delivery for a particular activity. So I think the government are wanting to make it as easy as possible for councils or groups of councils to be able to change their service delivery model. But I'll brief you on that, and see.
Okay, I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say, but also whether CCOs simply do we have to get into that sort of situation with neighbouring councils, or can we pick and choose as to who we go with?
Yes, we can, and I think Hamilton have been pretty open that they're looking at maybe a regional model, maybe looking at another high growth council like Ōtorohanga. I think there's going to be a lot of flexibility around that as well.
Good. Okay, thanks for that. And there's just one other one. It's in table 2, Tony. It was items 5 and 7 around housing, when they talked about potential new funding sources for council, portion of GST collected on new residential bills shared with councils, and also the introduction of a $1 billion Build for Growth Fund and paying councils $25,000 per house to live above the 5-year average. Can you just clarify that for me? I wasn't sure exactly what the Build for Growth Fund meant. Does that mean that if we had a subdivision of, say, 100 houses and they were all built within a certain period of time, that we'd get $25,000 for each house? Is that how it works?
So my understanding, this was a pre-election commitment, and I think it was from national memory, and it's now written as the coalition agreement. this is as much as we know, really. So if I remember back to pre-election, what they talked about there is that they wanted to sweeten the incentives for council to get and deliver housing faster. And so we've got to forecast our growth, forecast our average, and then anything above the 5-year average, I think it's talked about, will then get a sweetener of $25,000 as an incentive for every additional house. That's as much as we know at the moment. There's a lot of design and a lot of implementation to go into that.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Johnson. Mike, please, councillor.
Yeah, my question's been largely answered, but was just, and we can talk about it a bit later, but I was just interested in the, on page 96, accessing long-term borrowing without it impacting council balance sheets. Just, yeah, sounds like just another way to borrow money for any council. So, yeah, be interesting to discuss that.
Yeah, thanks, councillor. That will be one of the big sticking points going forward, I think, when it comes to either CCOs or collaborative approach between councils. Any further questions to Tony, councillors? Thanks, Tony, for the update there. I know it's a moving beast and will be for a long time yet. Goodness knows what comes out of it. So we have a staff recommendation here that the Ōtorohanga District Council receive the report titled Coalition Government Policy and Legislation Update, document number 739-122 from Tony Quickfall, Group Manager, Regulatory and Growth. Move Councillor Williams, second Councillor Willison, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Item 110, roading activity update, February 2024. Richard.
Morning.
Is this your last meeting with us?
It is my
Thank you.
last meeting. So it's good to do a bit of an introduction of Paul Strange this morning, who's going to be taking over. So I'm slowly throwing the keys at him over the next couple of weeks. But I thought do this final quarterly report and just give a bit of an overview of what's happening, projects are happening, and I'm happy to field any questions, especially if you're seeing something out in the network that we haven't. So taking the minutes as read, and we are in construction season. So please, any questions?
Cool, thanks, Richard. I love the reports with the expenditure and the percentage of the way through the activities. And that is really, really helpful for us to see where it's going. Otherwise, there's a lot of guessing on the other. Also good to see the progress that's been made on the roading over the last few months. And let's hope by the end of the year, we're on target. Questions, councillors? Councillor Dowell, then Councillor Hughes.
Richard, have they got a tree pruning? Well, it's not an operation, I suppose, but yeah. I'm getting my drivers moaning about the trees at the crates. It's always this time of year. There's the leaves, it's heavy or?
Yes, so we've got two types. We've got like a vegetation control, that's your wrench mower mowing, and then we do a high cut. So high cut is about 1.5 meters off the edge marker post and about 5 meters up to create the corridor. It's a pretty expensive task, so we don't do the whole network or the whole region each year, but we take chunks that fit our budget. But if there's a specific location, we'd love a service request so that we can add it to the program. That second ties in with something else.
Thanks.
Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, originally, sad to see you go, but we'll move on, I suppose. I mentioned this to Mark at a workshop a while back about the resilience of some of the seal around the district. I named Old Ōtorohanga Road at the time, but the others where all of the seal just lifted up on those hot days and just was a hell of a mess. But then I noted that in the Waitomo side of the down Mangarino Road, the issue seemed to happen. So sort of brought that into the resilience side of it. So what's if it's any investigation done into why that's doing that, or because some areas of the district have heavy traffic like that road, not all of them, so it probably won't affect other parts of the network, but the odd place within the district has heavy traffic loads which can cause that issue. So I just wondered what you were sort of looking into about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
council this season has engaged David Price, who's a sealing expert, I'd say. He's got 30 years industry. And so he's currently the engineer's rep for this season's reseals. And so part of that investigation is looking at recent seasons as well. So from 22, 23, 23, 24, and we'll look at the forward works plan for following years as well. From those findings, still early days, but from that we'll have a bit of an idea of we're successful, what are we doing? Do we need to relook at our methodologies? Yeah.
Councillor Jeffries.
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, Richard, sorry to see you go. Yeah. I wish you success in the future. Yeah, just one quick question about this. It's to do with the road maintenance contract, and you're saying the budget utilised was 3.3, you've got a budget remaining at 3.5. You're confident that that budget will be expended by the end of the financial year?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So those numbers are more confirmed in December. So we're about halfway through our year, halfway through our budget. We're looking at really kicking into physical works now, so that should get through the rest of it.
Just an unrelated question, but it's to do with minor safety improvements. Speed humps or speed pacifiers, or whatever you want to call them, are they considered to be minor safety improvements?
Yes and no. It's probably slight dependent. Yeah. And,
I like your first answer.
yeah. I guess it depends on the trigger as to why we're needing to install them. Right. So depending on the safety requirement, if it's it's different kind of triaging.
Yep. Okay. No, it's just an issue that's been raised constantly out way about one street. So anyway, we'll talk. But yeah, I thanks for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen.
My turn. Two little things. One is, personally, I'd be quite interested to see the footpath renewals actual program, like, and how it's assessed. Like, is it assessed by walking around, or service requests or stuff like that? And then the second one, it's a bit weird. There's a lot of chip stored on Old Gulf Road. I'm just hoping you're not resealing Old Gulf Road again in such a short time frame for the amount of traffic and condition that it's in. I hope if you are, it's been a visual condition, because I'd hate to see money thrown away at that little road that has very few vehicles down it.
Cool. So to answer your first question, yes, we do walk the footpaths, all of them, Ōtorohanga and Car Fair, and if we ever put some in Aotea, then we'll do Aotea as well. How we assess it is we have a visual inspection guide. It's based off NZTA spec that has a 1 to 5 rating, and when we've an inspector will say, pretend you're a little old lady with a stroller. If you can't utilize the footpath, we need to adjust. We don't want to go so far, and we might change this, but we don't want to go around, call it, do footpath widening. We want to kind of keep same. So this year we completed the visual inspection and asset update in January, which I'm happy to share with you at any point if you'd like to have a look. From that, we've got a renewals program, which should tie into our existing budget. From my understanding, the AMP for next year essentially doubles that budget, so we'll be able to do a lot more renewal activities. Up till now, it's been more maintenance and less renewals and patching. And your second question with Old Gulf Road, so that's our renewals, our urban stockpile for the reseals in town.
Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, just a couple of minor matters, but firstly, on nice bit of resealing on Paewhenua Road up above the rugby club. But I was driving over it the other day and I noticed there's, still a bump in the road. Is that part of the deal to fix up bumps before we go resealing them, or do we just go over the top of them?
Yes, absolutely. So it's something we can definitely have a look at, but we have we call pre-seal repairs. So you want to fix and proof the road up to say 99% standard before you put a reseal over top.
Might have just missed a little bit here, but
Thanks. Yeah, we'll definitely have a look.
the other one too was just I guess it's going to come up on the reseal, on the remettling, the bulk mettling, which is coming up. But I just noticed that our end of Ngāpiki Road, where it intersects with Bush Road, it's down to the dirt. So it's crying out for some metal at this top end anyway. So otherwise, great.
Thank you. Cheers.
And thank you for your work with us over the years.
Any last questions?
It's pretty quiet on the home front here, Richard. Yes, there's been endorsed by a lot of councillors here. Thank you for your focus and help for Ōtorohanga District Council over the last couple of years. It's been really, really good and invaluable. You've certainly added value to us, and yeah, good luck going forward. Back to the Bay of Plenty. Awesome. Thank you. So we have a staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council receive the report titled Roading Activity Update February 2024, document number 740162 from Richard Shaler, Acting Manager, Roading. Move on a second of that, please. Move Councillor Dow, second of Councillor Hughes, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 111, Ōtorohanga District Development Board 6-month report, 1 July to 31 December 2023. Welcome Nadia, Michelle and Moraine.
Kia ora, councillors. So this is the 6-month report from the Ōtorohanga District Development Board. Attached to their report is mine, which just gives you a little bit of background as to the service level agreement with the DDB. The only thing I'd like to flag before I ask for any questions of my report, and then we head to Moraine and Michelle to talk through their update, is just on page 1112. The DDB have noted some funding that they have essentially been the umbrella organisation of. What wasn't clear in there, and which I didn't pick up, so my apologies, is that this isn't money that they have gifted or funded other organisations themselves out of their pot. It's actually the DDB acting as an umbrella organisation for groups or individuals that want to do projects but may not have the right legal structure behind them to hold the funds. So for example, with council's community grant scheme, we ask that there's some sort of legal body that looks after that fund, and if an applicant doesn't have that, then they'll often head to the DDB who provides that service, and it's very much valued, and you can see how many are using that. So if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer. Okay, and then over to Moraine and Michelle.
Thank
you. Look, just on behalf of the District Development Board, I'm very, very pleased to have the opportunity to be here today. Look, we have, and of course, Michelle will take a big part in assisting me to deliver the report, the 6-month report. I just want to take a moment and thank Nadia. Nadia, we work very, very closely, and she's just a great person to have on board with us, helps us with context, and is massive conduit to council and connects us really well. So thanks, Nadia. Also to council, the Ōtorohanga District Council, all of you from Tania right around to the councillors, your support has been absolutely magnificent. We could not and really do without your assistance, without your funding, and thank you for continuing to believe in us. So that's a biggie today. Look, we have had a very successful last 6 months in 2023, lots of workshops, lots of delivery in promises that we made and finally delivering. There's a few there that we have to work on, but in the majority we have been pretty successful in kind of ticking all the boxes and making all you know, the promises. I do want to say probably the biggest highlight for us was kicking off the business membership, and that started in October. And just prior to Christmas, I think we had around about 63 members, and now we're up to 72. So it just shows that the community and the businesses really are looking to us, and they believe in us, they're confident in us, and we provide networking and facilitating many workshops that help those businesses through. So it's amazing. It's broken down there what it is, you know, the large business, small business, and then not-for-profits as well. So yeah, that boosts our confidence and in ensuring that we're doing a good job. What else did I want to say? Of course, how amazing our main street looks. We're getting so many compliments, and it has been a project that we started just after COVID, when we had a kind of a brainstorming session, and it's been really, really successful. The uptake of it has been very welcoming. It has been challenging at times because we're trying to work with retailers, don't have them to to do the painting. So often the landlords incorporates it in their rentals, and it's a small proportion. Now the development board we raised 60,000 to divide up and contribute to those businesses that opted into the program. And it was based, the contribution that the district development would give, it was at the end of the paint job, and based on the size of their property, the frontal size of their property, working really well and has been appreciated. So where did that 60K come from? Well, the Ōtorohanga District Council helped us big time. I think it was about 17,500. The Lions Club, the Ōtorohanga Charitable Trust, the District Development Board itself, and just people that literally dug deep into their pockets and thought this project was a go. And that's how we got the money. So it's been very successful. Everybody has been trying to work out a percentage, but I can honestly say that is a large portion done. There are a few in there, and we have to consider perhaps hardship, and they're struggling. And if there's no communication, or if there is no input from the landlord, we're going to try and help them across that line to get as many of those. There's some buildings on the main street that definitely need it. But that's our job. We'll solve it. and we'll get as much done. But we do have an end date, which is the end of this financial year. So we're inviting people to opt in by that time, and it could continue into the springtime when painting can be maybe resumed. It usually stops in the winter. But with regards to opting in, we need that commitment by June. Michelle, there's probably heaps more, but so I'll just hand it over to Michelle. And if there's any further questions, yeah.
Thanks, Marie. Couple of things. Thank you for acknowledging Nadia and the support that she's given you. It's the first time we've had that real positive connection between council and the development board to really work together as one for the benefit of the town. Main Street does look fantastic, so thank you for the perseverance of the development board there, because it makes a massive difference. You don't think it would to a degree, but it's when you drive down Mariapoto Street now, it's really quite a warm feeling inside to think this is our cute little town, so really good. Next thing, in all the years I've been on council, the best development report I've ever seen. So it's really clear and concise. You've got some fairly lofty and ambitious work streams ahead of you. So I'm not quite sure how, obviously retirement's serving you well. Because someone obviously has got to be putting in the mahi. But also, Michelle, I'd like to acknowledge you for the work that you've been doing to support the development board and making progress and all the work streams that are going on, because without your help, I'm sure it'll be really, really hard work for all board members. So yeah, I'm sit here in a fairly contented space in terms of where the two organisations are working together. So thank you. Questions, Councillor Johnson, and then Councillor Jeffries.
Yes, hi, Maureen. I was just wanting to just say thank you for scrambling around for us last week with some public liability insurance for our truck show, and that highlighted a hole for us that you're filling at the moment, and that's the work is umbrella organisation in facilitating things like this and little roadblocks like public liability insurance. Yeah, it's great that there's a way to make these things happen, but thank you for that that work last week.
You're welcome. We're very fortunate as well. We have got a very, very good wraparound board around our table, with skills sets that are very, very valuable. And honestly, it is all work hard and all have a portfolio of responsibility. And I must again commend Michelle Erickson. She has just been amazing, and you know, the usual bean counter, but she's very thorough at it. So just making sure, and it is a big part of our job to ensure that when we take on the responsibility of being an umbrella organisation, that we assist in any way we can. So you're very welcome, and it was great to hear it was such a good success. Thank you.
Councillor Jeffries.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, hey, thank you for this report. The most very comprehensive, and certainly highlights the work that you guys have been doing. So congratulations on that. Just a couple of quick questions to do with the cycleway project. I know Carfia Incorporated have indicated their support for the one out of Carfia, and I just wondered whether that was being pursued or whether you're still waiting for somebody to come back to you with something, or was Hano doing something with that?
I'm just going to hand that one because Michelle has been working hard on that. I do know that the kind of payment was stopped, just it was only the holiday period and it's restarting. So, Michelle.
So the intention with the cycling work is to actually create a more comprehensive cycling plan that covers the district, so we can actually work out how to prioritize and get funding for all the different pieces that are actually people are dreaming of, and whether or not they're all viable, I guess. So the Carfia Forest Block, the latest was that their feasibility or business case had stalled out there, so just waiting to regroup that little group that is part of the community cycling plan and look at actually, can we reinvigorate it? There's a really cool little cycleway in Kaddy that we're interested in going and have a look at. Yeah, the Kawhia Forest Block, I mean, it'd be fabulous to be able to bike it now. I've been out there and it's incredible. But there's also some burial grounds and some, you know, there's a whole lot of things that need to happen to actually make it completely safe as well for its history, and also recognizing that a forest block would light on fire pretty quick with some e-bikes running through it if you didn't have the right health and safety. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's good. I was just a bit concerned that maybe it sort of stalled for some reason, but obviously there's a lot of work going on.
Yeah, it's all part of the picture, but
Yep,
it's,
great.
yeah.
Under the funding in the table, we talk about the Kawhia Fitness Trail. You're probably aware that Jeanette Shaw is yes, most regrettably, and she's going to live in Tauranga, closer to her grandchild. But I just wondered whether there was a need to perhaps focus or advance the fitness trail while she's still with us, or whether you've got a
I can perhaps answer that one. I'm in probably very regular contact, and I didn't realize that she was leaving, because it was just recently I assisted her with doing the job descriptions of the two staff members, part-time staff members of the Kawhia Information Centre, and no, she never mentioned it. So sad. That is really, really sad. However, we should pick that up, because I know Diane is pretty involved as well, and there's quite a group there. So I'll make contact. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. Really great. Thanks, Kit.
Councillor Dow.
Maureen, I just want to pick up on Roy's sort of comments, and just thank your organisation so much for what you did, you know, to help. I'm just thinking back to like 9 working days before the event, when we got the bureaucratic police paperwork that we had to fill, and I couldn't sleep that night. I thought we were going to cancel the show. You know, how am I going to find $2 million worth of public liability insurance? And your team stepped up. Roy did too. Like, yeah. So, and the community, the event was bloody awesome. And so thank you for people like you that get shit done in Ōtorohanga. That's really awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Okay, thanks, Maureen. Thanks, Michelle. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Nadia. So we have a resolution that the Ōtorohanga District Council received a report titled Ōtorohanga District Development Board 6-month report, 1 July to 31st December 2023, document number 739969 from Nadia Gow, Group Manager, Strategy and Community, with Councillor Dow, second with Councillor Hughes. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 112, financial report for the month. Brendan, welcome. Sorry, Brendan. Welcome.
No worries. Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, so we're going through the financial report to the end of January. We didn't do an end of December one, obviously, because we didn't have a January meeting. And I thought jump straight to the end of January, make it as up to date as possible. So you can see our surplus is up about $2 million on what was budgeted year to date to the end of January. Most of that is due to, well, no, most of the fact that we have a large surplus is due to the fact that the second rates installment had been sent out as at early January, probably mid-January, and was due at the end of February. So when we get to the balance sheet, you'll see that there's quite high receivable sitting there. That's because a lot of people don't pay until pretty much the last day, which was last Friday, or the 20th, just before that. Most of the companies pay on the 20th, and then everyone else pays on the last day. In terms of our operating revenue, we're up on budget by 805,000. Which is mostly in the subsidies and grants, which is to do with predominantly roading subsidies and grants. And that's just a timing thing about when the projects have been done and we've been able to claim them. And in terms of expenses, we're down on budget, mostly in the employee benefit expenses and also in the other expenses. And that's due to, again, the employee benefit expenses, as we've kind of talked about throughout the year, probably the last couple of years, to be honest. A lot of roles that we've budgeted for that haven't been filled. A lot of those are now being filled. There's, Paul, who was just here, and obviously we've got a couple other people that are coming soonish. So, yeah, that probably, I think when we get to next year, you might find that actually that as a reason why we're underspent might disappear, and hopefully it'll be another place that we're saving money. And then the other expenses, a lot of that is to do with some of the projects that happen later in the year, but the budget might be already in there, such as the annual report, the rural concept plans. There was a full budget in there for the whole amount, but we may not be spending all that initially on the actual plans, but then the actual work that comes out of those plans may come later in the year. That just putting that budget in a timely fashion was a bit tricky in that respect, because we don't know when some of those projects will come online. Over on the next page, the financial position or balance sheet. We're in a healthy position again. So total current assets 7.4 against liabilities 1.3. As I said, most of that is actually in the trade and other receivables, which is most of the second installment of the rates. There's not much in the way of cash there. That's actually changed now. If you actually look at our bank balance now, that's almost flipped. We've got about $7 million sitting in the bank, and trade and other receivables, okay, it's not 200,000, it's probably more like $1 million. A lot of that is because we have got that money back from North King Country. Right, sent something out about when it happened. That's at the end of February, obviously, not January. And also a lot of the rates money's come in. So there's about 1.5 million of rates still outstanding. A lot of that is people to pay by direct debit.
So Brendan, just clarification, so the end of February within the next couple of days.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so when I bring the report to March, you'll see that we'll have quite a bit of money sitting at the bank there. I guess associated with that, we do have the borrowings that's sitting at 9.4 million. So all of our borrowings that we've taken so far during the year, we've set them all with the same due date, being the 15th of April. So we have to repay that, all that 9 mil on the 15th of April. We'll obviously refinance at that point. The reason we did that was we had a better idea. When we had to take some of these, it was earlier in the year, we didn't quite know when we were going to get the NKC money. So the first loan was taken till then. So we just aligned all our other loans with it. So we'll do some better forecasting on what borrowings we need over the next 12 months. So we can actually align our borrowings over different periods, depending on how much we need and how long we're going to need it for. And then over the page, the last one is the cost of service statement. Excuse me. So operating revenues under budget, mostly in the other general sources, which is the internal charges side of things. A lot of that again is because of savings we've made in the operating expenses, both in the employee benefits and in other areas where we've saved money. For example, staff training, things like that, where the budget hasn't been spent yet. We obviously don't charge that as overheads to everything. We only charge actual costs out as overheads, not budget. So while we might budget for certain things to happen at certain times of the year, it may not. It may happen later, it may not happen. So that's why that's down. And then that obviously translates also to the expenditure being down by $4.7 million on budget. In terms of the capital, in terms of capital expenditure, if you ignore the loans repaid, which is $1.7 million under budget, capital's about right, maybe slightly over where we expected would be at this time of the year. And that's just pretty purely a timing thing as to how projects are progressing and when payments have been made on them. So yeah, in a pretty good financial position at this point. We're at the end of January.
Thank you, Brendan. Yeah, it is. Councillor Jeffries. I'm just guessing.
Give me a moment, I'll think of something.
Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, I heard you say, they talk about oh, sorry, I'm looking at, page 115, the, balance sheet. And, on, borrowings.
Yes.
All those numbers across there are all the same as that.
You mean, except for the first number, the 447613?
Yeah, there is a 5 million in there somewhere.
Yeah. So the 447613 is the suspensory loan that we have from Housing New Zealand from 2004, 2005, I think it was taken. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. I wasn't here at that time. That's due to be repaid potentially in another year or two. So that was money that was borrowed to do maintenance or renewals on the pension housing. There's a agreement, or the agreement for the loan, there's a thing within there that if we still hold that property after the loan expires, it will get gifted and written off basically, so we don't have to repay that. But we still have to record it as borrowings at this point, because any council could make their decision to sell off the pension housing, and therefore we'd have to repay that loan at the time. So that's why those figures are the same, because we know that amount's going to sit there until that falls off. And then it's just the number at the front changes, because we try to borrow and most around $1 million numbers.
So. So the difference, where would the 5 million show somewhere else on the balance sheet?
Oh, right, yeah, okay, so you're talking about last year to where we are now?
Yes.
Gone from 4 to 9, yeah. So most of that would actually probably show back in your income statement, because that was, a lot of it was borrowed for, and the CapEx, I guess, on the other page as well, under the capital expenditure on the cost of service statement. Because that was money that was borrowed for cash flow purposes, so we had the money to be able to pay everything we had to pay, bills and that sort of stuff. So it doesn't necessarily show as an asset somewhere on the balance sheet. It might be used to pay for capital expenditure or operating expenditure. Cash flow might be.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Just a note first,
Yes.
slight implication, not getting at you, about people who pay on the last day.
Yes.
Some of us are doing that because it's a direct debit,
Oh, yeah.
which is a favour to council.
Yes, yeah. And I wasn't saying anything bad about people paying on the last day. I'm just saying a lot do pay on. We do actually have quite a few that
And
pay.
so if everyone did go on a direct debit, then the cash flow would all bang into the account on the one day. For the employee benefits that, we haven't spent.
Yes.
And the consequent savings and the overheads and those things that may not even happen.
Yes.
Where do they, I'm sure I've asked before, where do they fall into becoming a benefit for the ratepayers? So if we're setting a rate at the moment of what with the figure that we're talking out, that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
At what stage do because we can't pick up a thing that we haven't spent here and say, oh, we'll chuck it in that code. We've decided that that's not how we operate.
Yeah.
Where do the savings come as a benefit?
For the ratepayers. I guess where that comes is, so the money that we collect from the ratepayers predominantly will go into a pot, the general rate pots, or it's a specific ring fence for a specific activity. In terms of these savings, those are mostly funded from general pots. It'll sit in there as a surplus, and so that's the surplus that we can then use in future years to reduce the potential rates increases in the first place. So I guess the benefit isn't necessarily felt by the ratepayers in this year.
No.
It's felt in future years as we adjust the rates increases by using up that surplus.
Yeah. So it's going to be at least year 2 in there before we can get any benefits from any savings. And then they're not necessarily conscious savings. They just appreciate when we haven't been able to fill vacancies that it's not something that you can plan on, would like to plan on.
So just to give you an indication, we are carrying 10 vacancies at the moment. So we've just appointed 4 staff into new roles, that they're not counted, they're counted as staff, even if they haven't started yet. We're still carrying 10 vacancies, which for an organisation with only, 60 staff, that is significant, right? So, yeah, that's why that financial kind of statement looks like that.
You're right. Thank you, Brendan. That we have your resolution that the Ōtorohanga District Council received a report titled Financial Report for the month ending 31st January 2024, document number 739954 from Brendan O'Callaghan, Finance Manager. Moved Councillor Jeffrey, seconded Councillor Williams, all in favour? Carried. Thanks, Brendan. Thank you. Looking good. The Kiwi House report's 1 o'clock, isn't it? So we're going to do 2 options, either go out of meeting, adjourn, or do councillor update first and the register. Yeah, okay. Cool, thank you. Councillor Johnson. What have you been up to?
Well, I was on holiday last week, so I missed the work. But I haven't been up to anything extra representing the council, but except Rodney and I put an awful lot of time and effort into the truck show, and yeah, that was it was very successful and satisfying, and yeah, really, the day was perfect. So the weather came through, so that was great. But that's me.
Yes, Councillor Tamaki.
Kia ora. I don't know, done lots and lots of workshops, I feel. Attended the moko papa, at the marae with, Zach and Kaya, so that was really cool. Had lots of kapahaka nohos in the weekend, so my weekends are, filled up with that. Did some filming for the Ōtorohanga Ora Fund with Sastry. That was not, as I expected. It was a bit hard and I got quite poha, which is part of what I was supposed to be doing, but it was true, I got poha. She keeps getting her line. I've been working in the space of tiakina kauri, so in some of our workshops, tiakina kauri has come up in a future venture thing. And so working with the mana whenua and kawhia, ngā tai o kawhia, te taia o kawhia, kauri protection, biosecurity New Zealand, it's quite cool. All of those people dock to look after the kauri stands that are at the Kauri Lodge. And so it's working really well, looking at pushing into a more sustainable model around education at Te Kauri, and hopefully one of the bigger dreams is to have it like the Waitemore Caves, so you have guided tours down to the stands. Learned lots about Kauri and how they are the rangatira of our ngāhere, so that's been a really cool space to be in. And alongside that, with losing a bit of our paparako from Tangi Te Korowhiti over the last couple of weeks has been an interesting space to be in with Ngāti Kairo. Looking at, Te Atamihi Papa. So she resides here, if you don't know, she's Rahui Papa's daughter and Mariana Papa's daughter, resides here in Ōtorohanga, is now studying university, or has, doing a law degree in treaty settlement claims. But she, last year, was successful, passed in the top 10% of New Zealand's NCA level 1, 2, 3. And so won a scholarship from Parliament for $25,000. So she went down last week to collect that, and so that's a very proud moment for Ōtorohanga. She stated she was from Ōtorohanga. Attended the Turanga Waiwai Rātana Waitangi Mana Motu Hake Otaitanga movement with the Kingitanga. And I think as we know, we've listened to Tony with some of the changes in legislation around what it looks like for all of us. I think in terms of Te iwi Māori, got a good handle on what it looks like for us in the future. So, kia ora.
Councillor Wilson.
Kia ora everyone, I'm the opposite to Jamie. I'm focusing on being a granddad. I haven't done any council representation in any way or anything, but I just wanted to add my congratulations to Roy and Rodney on the truck show. Those who, my whānau went along, they really enjoyed it. It was absolutely fantastic day. Yeah, the only thing I did attend, the councillor, was the moko papa and I arrived late just as they finished. Showcase. Anyway, kia ora.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Not a lot apart from all the workshops, and obviously a deliberate decision by staff. Thank you very much to give us a break over January. No, there's nothing. But I'm picking that it's going to get busy.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen.
No, just the workshops, community board, development board, yeah, and phone calls. And I direct people to logging their service request. And taking note of that number so they can follow it up themselves.
Councillor Dow.
Just workshops and organising the truck show. Or trucking, the Ōtorohanga trucking youth show. Yeah, anyway. It's cool, it's really awesome, it's great, some of the feedback and there's some videos and shit, and there's been another video tonight that Tano's done for us, so hopefully see what that comes out like, but yeah, it's been good.
So thank you for that. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'll just go right back to the 18th of December. I really enjoyed that elected members get together. We had joint one with Waipaha and Waitomo. That was great to meet the other representatives from the districts. 25th of December, I waited patiently for Santa and he didn't arrive, which was very disappointing. I was obviously on the naughty list this year. And then just the workshops, the civil defence emergency presentation the other day was actually quite good too. I enjoyed that. Yeah, learned quite a bit, and that was very well done. So I enjoyed all that. It's great.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yes, yeah, we've had obviously had a number of LTP and budget workshops over the last month or so. Attended the Kāwhia Community Board meeting on the 8th of February. And the Kāwhia Aotearoa concept plan workshop on the 14th of February at Kāwhia. On the 23rd of February, I attended the Te Kaioa Kāwhia Moana meeting. There's 130 that's now registered for the Coastal Conference in March. And they've got some pretty high-powered keynote speakers planned and activities planned in and around Kāwhia and Aotea. They've also got a plan to record by camera movements vehicular traffic on a defined access trail as part of a survey on the number and types of vehicles that are using the beach down there. So they're looking at putting a camera or two up to do that. Malcolm Ormsby reported on a visit that they'd had to Te Kauri, and it's actually been suggested that Te Taio Kāwhia might play an active role in the future of the park, but they'll need a number of staff if they're going to do that, and so it was suggested that perhaps they could perhaps approach Ellie Freestone for advice and assistance on preparation of the proposal if they're looking to employ or get jobs sorted for that sort of thing. So hopefully that'll progress. They're not dying in the ditch over that one. They just want to explore the options. Yeah. Attended the Trucks and Ute show on Saturday, the 24th, and I want to just congratulate both Roy and Rodney for putting on a great show, and I hope that we see a repeat of that. That was obviously very popular. Just a couple of matters. We've now got 2 large commercial trawlers operating out of the Kāwhia Harbour, and I just wondered if we could find out, are they being charged for berthage and for the use of the wharf? I don't know whether they are, but if they're not, they should be. And you may have already seen the communication from NZTA about the closures proposed for State Highway in March and for 3 weeks in April, which is going to mean that we're going to have to use Open Parter Road again and so on. So that's all coming up as well. So just hope the weather doesn't turn to custard in the meantime. So no, that was me. Thanks very much.
Thanks, councillor. Thanks, everybody. Before we finish off, can we go to the resolution registered with Tanya, please?
Well, I really think I should hand over to Graham to talk about the first one.
Thanks, Tanya. Yes, I'm pleased to say that the Support House lease was signed yesterday by both parties, and Nikki and I took some slices down there to celebrate. So they were all very pleased. So I think we can now take that off the resolution register.
I'll skip those 2 and go to 149. So the letter has been provided to Ngāti Te Wiki, so we can remove that off the register. In terms of the 2 middle ones, would you like to pick up now the kōrero in public forum, or would you like to talk about that later? Okay. So just to refresh everyone's memories, the previous government instructed councils to develop and consult on and adopt a interim speed management plan. In July 2023, we put that on hold. And in September 2023, the plan was not adopted, with staff being asked to bring back a plan that focuses just on marae and schools. In October 2023, a new government was elected. They revealed a 100-day plan that included revoking the previous government's direction around speed management. So council agreed to wait until we got more clarity. In December 2023, I received a letter from the minister confirming that there was no longer a requirement to adopt an interim speed management plan, and that councils can decide what is best for their communities. And so we're at a point today where we do need some direction from you, and in light of what was presented at the public forum, some direction from you on what we bring back to you to adopt. And you know, as part of our speed management plan, we've done the consultation, and so yeah, I think Mark would welcome some guidance around. We originally thought we would do it in 2 chunks, that we'd adopt the one for marae and schools and get that out of the way, and then revisit the ones on the individual district roads. So is that still the way you want to do it, or is there a different approach you want to take in light of what was presented today? Mark, did you have anything extra you wanted to add?
No, I think that sums it up perfectly. Thanks, Tanya. Just clear guidance going forward, so we can bring it back and get some resolution.
Right, thanks.
Thanks, Tanya. Thanks, Mark. Councillor Dowell.
I was going to speak. I think things like the Ōtorohanga Road is quite sensible. I always sort of did. I didn't think it was sensible doing blanket speed reductions all around. So I think I'd rather just see it all get thrown out and just bring it on a case by case basis. There's Ōtorohanga Road, and then there's what's the other road out in Prongia, mate? That had real strong.
Mawawika.
They had real strong.
Yes. So when you say on a case by case basis, we need to know exactly which ones you mean, because we consulted on several. And so yeah, I would like to not leave us in any doubt when we go away today about what we are bringing back for adoption in March. So,
You got two
Ōtorohanga,
roads? Ōtorohanga,
and
yeah.
then are we clear on what exactly it is that we are bringing back? Because we've had multiple attempts at whether we put a 70 in, whether we take the 50 out to this end row of houses or further out, or is it 1.5 kilometres, is it 500 metres? All those kinds of options were part of our original discussion. So do we need another workshop just to get that clarity, or are we all clear?
Well, if you want my vote is just for what they've just suggested, and Ōtorohanga looks pretty clear to me, pretty simple, but it's only one person.
I'll add to that. What they've proposed is what I was in favour all the time. 50 out by at the end of the houses, which is probably, there's a number in here, it's Baker's house.
56.
No, it's further out than that. Yeah, when we discussed this, I don't think the 7 accidents was brought to our attention from police.
No, the information we had was predating that, like, because you can only use the statistics, was my question. Yeah, we've got more up-to-date information now.
Yeah, for me, case by case, but this one has always been, for me, the most important one. And
Have we got any workshops planned between now and the next council meeting? And the council meeting is what day?
12th of March and 20 something of March, 27th, 20.
So
26th.
the-
Because it's a leap year.
Again, the one out at Ōtorohanga, what's that road again?
Weekend.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it makes sense, the speeds drop there as well, it really does, because it's a lot of residential area. The other one, and it's got the news again recently, is opposite Katrina's place, Waitomo Valley Road. You know, if we're talking about cars driving off the wrong side of the road, then at least try and keep their speed down to.
it's a state highway. Oh, you're talking about,
Waitomo
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, just bigger signs that says there's one bridge and stay on the side of the road.
That's a state highway intersection type thing to me.
So I suppose with a workshop, and we can run through them again to see what we want to do, or do we get, off the top of my head, I can't think of the roads around there apart from the 3 we just mentioned.
Bypass, Hoopatea Drive was down the road, Old Tiquity Road. I think it's fine, over there.
Wasn't Old Tiquity Road just confirming what's already there? But not actually.
Do we need a workshop, or do we just need a report with the summary of the submissions attached? Like, I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward. We're all pretty much in agreement.
Yeah.
And a workshop is just like
No,
extend.
we're happy to bring a report back, so we bring back all those rows plus the marae schools, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not keen on the schools. I think it's a waste of tap ratepayers' money, so.
Okay. What is the direction around marae and schools, Mark, can you remember?
My
Or is it
understanding is
completely at our discretion now?
the deadlines were removed for
All right,
for March, I think it was, so it's completely up to us.
I
So
haven't committed it to memory.
we're almost bringing back the report, the previous report. Is that the direction I'm hearing?
Well, I know my direction is just those 3 roads, Old Tiquity Road, Ōtorohanga Road. Yeah. So we flick around an email between ourselves. Look, we can just look up the old report and
So
just save
nothing,
you wasting time on.
okay, so nothing around marae and schools then?
Not for me, anyway.
I agree with that.
That's
Why,
not,
why do we have to wait for a report if we're in agreement with, say, the likes of Ōtorohanga? Why don't we just get on and do it?
I'd love to do that, Kit, but in about 6 months' time, someone will come and say, we never agreed to change the speed limit. Where's the record? Where's the public? No, we actually need to close out the report that's been brought a couple of times and it's sort of lying on the table. So I think to tidy it up, we bring it out. We can let
Let them know that,
presenters
right.
in the public forum know
Yep.
that they've been heard and that a report's coming to the March meeting. So yeah, I think that would just tidy everything up from a public record perspective. Otherwise, we've got this report hanging out there.
So just for
Yeah.
clarity then, like Mark asked, we'll bring the entire report back. But I'm also hearing now that schools and Marai are out of from two councils, or are they back in, or I need some
don't-
clarity here.
Yeah, I think the main goal was separating the discussion between those roads and the schools. I think in the schools one, there were one or two cases where
There's merit.
primary, where there was, actual speed issues identified that we could discuss separately if it meant that we can get some movement on these three roads. I'm not supporting saying no to anything around schools. It needs to be addressed, but perhaps not on this one.
It's primary school, can that road be addressed with these other roads as just, it's a residential area with kids, it's not, like, we're not doing a blanket approach to schools, we're picking our main high priorities out of the district, and that one is one, regardless of whether there's a school or not. There's footpaths, there's people crossing, there's a walkway,
So I think that was in the report was that entire Rangapari Street corridor. That whole block was part of that plan. So
Can I just ask then that if, once these are enacted, if that's the right word, then in terms of enforcement, should we be, will the police be advised of the changes and being asked to perhaps, from time to time, just keep an eye on things and because we've got existing speed limits already that are being abused, and by adding even more, yeah, I don't know.
Probably a wee bit like the fly tipping, anyone that's going to do it is going to do it, but yes,
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is. I'm assuming we inform the police, Mark, and let them know.
yeah, I don't think we inform them directly. I think it goes through the correct channels now. They'll be aware of the process going on. They were part of the
They're part of the
consultation.
consultation.
But that's, we can have that conversation.
So Mark, I'd be guessing it is bringing the report back from what I'm getting in its entirety, and then we're kind of picking and choosing from that, aren't we? In terms of where we're making decisions. Without that government directive to this year has to be done.
Well, I think it's important we capture the changes in that direction anyway as part of that report. So that it's clear that process and then those roads and plans back in front of me. Yep.
Thank you.
I thought it was interesting how Kingy Road read out Wakakotahi's guidelines, which I'd never knew about. That you're supposed to, the local people will, I don't know, it's just what he read out, I was just, I didn't hear that before. But yeah.
It's about giving local people the opportunity to have their say and bring in that, and so we did that through our consultation process.
Yeah.
So that's the way we interpret that.
Yeah,
part.
but some of
I
those,
think
some of
what
those
we're
schools
getting
and that,
at-
they were legislated, we had to drop them to 30Ks and things like that.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't,
Yeah,
like people
mandated.
say,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
mandated.
Well,
so,
that was government
Yeah.
direction, previous government direction. Yes, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah, they're gone. Well, that's my opinion.
Awesome. You got direction there, Mark, now?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. At this stage, we'll adjourn the meeting prior to lunch. At 1 o'clock, we've got the Kiwi House report.
Can we just resolve that we remove,
Okay, it's resolved.
confirm the removal of resolution C 55 and C 149 from the register,
Yeah,
please?
I'll move that. Seconded, councillor Tamaki. Thank you. Okay, at this stage now then, as said, we'll adjourn the meeting and we'll go into CEO alone time. And we'll bring everybody back for lunch and then the Kiwi House presentation following that.
Have Mark stay for one item.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's very advanced people. Welcome back, councillors. Look, we're good to go again. We'll reconvene the meeting and I'd like to welcome Joe and Tim to provide the Kiwi House report to us. Welcome. Okay, Graham, led by Graham.
Thanks, your worship. Yeah, so, yeah, pleased to welcome Joe and Tim along to the meeting today, just to present their 6-month report. I've written a little bit of a covering report, but I'm going to basically just leave it over to Joe and Tim just to go through it and then just cover off any questions that councillors might have. So.
I'm pretty sure Tim just volunteered to start.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, look, we're tracking along pretty well, very close to budget. The figures you've got to the end of December. We've since run some to the end of January, and we're running to the end of January a $20,000 cash deficit, which is very close to what we budgeted. These are our best months, the summer months and into autumn. The visitor numbers are better. And so that's when we make our money, essentially. More visitors equals more profit. So you're a fairly simple equation. And in terms of our visitor numbers, I think, what are we on track for the year, Joe? 55,000 odd? Yeah, so that's pretty good. That's getting back to what it was pre-COVID. So that's very encouraging. Joe's also been dealing with Stephen Hamilton around the report he's writing. So we're having a get together on Friday, I think, and answering some of his questions and providing some input into the report he's doing. So yeah, we understand that'll be on target for next month for his report back to council or back to the Audit and Assurance Committee. Yeah, so it's progressing well from our perspective. Yeah, Joe can fill in the details.
Got everybody. So I think that's sort of summed up where we're sitting in terms of the operating. In terms of the development, we're almost we're in the last stages of the Animal Nutrition and Enrichment Centre, which is that blue building, the old Lockwood building, has been reconfigured as 2 commercial kitchens. So we hope to open that and stage 1 at the same time in early April, once we've got them functioning with everybody in them, which will be great. And the Zone 3, which is the care habitat and the wetland habitat, all the earthworks for those 2 areas are complete and the building platform is ready. And we're just waiting on some finalised costs and we'll start into that. We're really grateful to receive $125,000 to date in private donations, and there's more pledge to come in, and we'll tell you about those as they roll in, which will be great. We're working really closely with a number of commercial entities who see this as a great partnership project for them. So one that I can announce is the Lines Company. So they're partnering with us to deliver solar across the site. And there are others that are partnering that we're working through the details of to do all our site-wide services. So that we cost that out as an extra $2 million to roll that program out with those people support. We've got some funders down here. They're a work in progress. I can announce that we've received $100,000 across 3 years from the Ōtorohanga Charitable Trust, and just finalising some of the other funders. And there are a number that it's just not appropriate to report at this point. But people are really keen to see the project go ahead. So we're working on finalising the last of the funding required for zones 1 to 5, and then we're into the main 2 big buildings at the end of that. Any questions?
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Tim. I know there's going to be some questions forthcoming. Just waiting to see when the red light comes on. Yes, councillor Jeffries.
Good, Tim, Joe, nice to see you both. Yeah, it's very encouraging, the visitors numbers. You must be very pleased with the way they're trending. And so that's a good sign. I've just got a couple of quick ones. In the report itself, under item number 4, the financial performance, you state here that you're no longer requiring government support for your operating costs this year. Is that just from the WIRF or is that everything?
That's everything.
Everything. Okay.
So we're back to operating in a self-sufficient manner.
Excellent. Okay. And the other one was, just give me a moment.
Sorry, well, Kit's looking for that now. Councillor Jeffries looking for that. In terms of that funding, that WIRF funding, is that your choice or is that the government themselves saying this is into it? Because if you've got a loss this year, I'd argue that it would be beneficial to have that in there.
Yeah, we're not expecting to make a loss. So our best financial months are coming. So January is a good month for us, February, March, April, May. So we're quite confident that against our budget we'll be making it won't be huge, but it'll be a small profit.
Yeah, there was, so yeah, in terms of your operating costs, then your repairs and maintenance, actual to budget or actual to last year, wasn't it? And they were actually up quite a lot, which in some ways surprised me, in that if you're doing so much in the way of development, I just wondered why you needed so many repairs and maintenance. But am I on the right track there, or?
You are, Kip. It's called don't spend anything on repairs and maintenance when you're in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
So it was really delayed. Some of it is things like not completely rebuilding all our nocturnal house lights that will go through into the development project later. But we had to put them in for a welfare reason now.
And Tim mentioned earlier your result for the 6 months on $86,000 deficit. You've since reduced that to 20. Is that right?
20,000 cash deficit, then the depreciation on top of that, Kit. So it's a $40,000 accounting deficit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is pretty much in line with that budget.
Yeah. Well, the only other question I had was, you did present us with a balance sheet, which you probably appreciate, Tim, more than anyone, that the P&L statement only perhaps gives us half the story. So I'd be very interested to get hold of a copy of the balance sheet at some stage.
Yeah, sure. We've got one here. We can get that to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think there is one thing, if you don't mind me jumping in, Max, and just saying, I think we should celebrate the council investment. We've now turned a species on the brink of extinction into 100 little nymphs bouncing around in each of their individual lunch boxes. They have to be separated or they eat each other, which is not good. But you know, that's a significant achievement to have turned a species at the list of kakapo, black stilt, around. So we couldn't have done that without the investment from council.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Absolutely. I mean, it's been a massive undertaking for your team, and you got COVID right through the middle of it, and it's a rebuild and it's challenging. It's the reason why we've sought the support of Stephen Hamilton to help you through this, because it's tough times. So thank you. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. Successes aside, I'm just looking at a report on a purely reporting basis with the couple of things with the development project costs. We're sort of like they're a list of costs, but it's not telling us whether it's a success against budget or how far over budget would be, which is obviously going to affect your call for funding. Like, is it a resource suspect we're only looking at the financials for 2022 completed and 23 underway. Now that we're, over halfway through and halfway through the 24 year.
There is a delay in how we see these accounts, which we could look at dragging forward. This is how we present them to the IRG. So we could do that differently for you. Yep. So that it shows the budget to date against that. And we're always a month behind because of the way we pass our accounts. So these are the last that when this report's went to Graham, these are the last ones that our trust had passed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we're still only saying that we've got the FY22 audited accounts done and the FY23 are underway, and we're over halfway through FY24.
Sorry, I completely misread you, Annette. I thought you were talking about the.
I should have directed it to the.
No. Yeah, we had a complete backlog with our auditors. So our FY22 is just finals and our trust needs to approve them and then we'll send them through. But yeah, no, we had a complete backlog on auditing. They, as well as us, had the effects of COVID.
Tim, like the 23 accounts are completed, they're just draft, they're not audited. Yeah.
And we have made them available to Graham. So, yeah.
Suppose, and I mean to the devil here, but I suppose when you guys are under the pump and under so much pressure, and I know as a business owner myself that if I'm really struggling with where I'm going financially, as soon as I come to the end of the financial year, I get my accounts into the accountant. And as Net's pointed out, we're now 8 months into another financial year. So I'd suggest for our benefit in getting reports back to us, it'd be really good if these reports were probably a bit more up to date, because 2022 is, again, 18 months ago. So just a bit of clarity out there from our perspective, because obviously we've entered into discussion with the pressure you guys are under. But again, you get to the end of your financial year, get those accounts in as soon as possible. You know that, Tim. Councillor Johnson.
Yes, at the profit and loss line there, there's a line grant management. What is that?
So we employ a company to assist us with finding grants that are specific to the work we're doing and also writing grants that are specific. So that it's a way of increasing our capacity to do that work.
Okay, financial side, in terms of where the project is going, Joe, you're saying that stage 1 or zone 1 opens in April?
Yes.
That's all on target, everything looking good?
Yes.
And just explain to me what goes on inside zone 1. Is there a zone 1 door that I open or?
Yeah, there is. There's about 3 of them. So that means that our public will be able to go through. We've done soft tours through those spaces, just to sort of work the bugs out of it, pardon the pun. And so that will take people through the Mahanui Joint Letter and the hospital facility, and then through the animal training facility as well. So we'll open that formally, and we'll open that in a invitation only start of the day, and then we'll open it to our local people after lunch, which will be neat. And also our the old Lockwood building, which is now our animal nutrition centre. So just we'll have to be a bit careful with the angry chefs in there chopping up fruit and vegetables, but I think we can squeeze people through.
Just with your staffing numbers, like I stayed pretty static over the last little while. Tell me about staff. Everybody's qualified in the right fields, or not searching for
Yep, no, they're good. We need to recruit a couple more into our animal area because we've had 100 extra bodies start, but we're looking at funding that from a separate source.
In terms of these funding streams you've listed here for approaching in this next year, I think there's one of them. I think it said applications closed in 2023. I'm sure it's meant to say 24.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of, like, there's a lot of, we could all write down a list in terms of the confidence level with a lot of those funders. Is there much confidence, or is it just a list of possible?
So if I can speak, and I think I can talk about the regional council particularly. So it's part of a bigger scheme that we're working with them to create a southern hub for the region, so that we would become the central administrative hub for a number of projects that run out of the Kiwi House. Essentially for the regional council and dock, it is easier to fund through one administrative hub. So that is part of one of the reasons that they see that this project is something that is a really strong process to get behind, the project to get behind. So that the question is, which pots does funding come out of, and how do we manage that over the next 2.5 years? So we need to just identify that with them. No, we've had engagement with all of them, and again, that some are resetting priorities. So momentum's not even on this list, but that's another one we've just engaged with around their new strategic priorities. The feedback's good, Max, and once you start getting more and more, it becomes a bit of a rolling feast. But one of our main focuses at the moment is corporate sponsors.
Roy actually asked my question. It was about the grants management line. But my question to that is, these are older accounts. The list of applications are current. So for bang for your buck, 11K, what funding have you got out of having that middleman doing that work for you? And how much is it increasing year by year? Because these the funds that you've got listed here, the applications, they're actually after that money's been paid. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I'm sort of wondering how much you're paying last financial year, this financial year going forward, and are you getting bang for your buck? And then also on a side note, council is investing in, I don't know the name of the program, where you can, yes I am. So we're spending money on a platform that you can go to and it will spit out who you should be applying to. So I'm just thinking maybe that might be a better resource for you guys rather than just spending 11K here, 15K, each year. If you're not getting the bang for your buck. That was a comment and a question of all sorts.
So far, it's put us in touch with funders that we would never have known existed. So from that avenue, it's been bang for buck. But if you've got one that has the word free on it, we're always keen. It would be really good to talk to Nadia or whoever I talk to about that. Part of the issue is you've got to put a lot in to get your grant writer able to write your grants applications. But yes, bang for buck in terms of who they've put us in contact with.
And you've also got a video now too, don't you? Yeah.
We sure have.
So, yeah. So that could be,
Thank you.
Can I just add to that? Sorry.
Yes, right.
Part of it is trying to use our resources in the best way we can. So if we weren't paying these people to do it, Joe would be writing those. Joe's got more than enough on a plate, and so we're trying as trustees to spread her load and get the appropriate people doing the appropriate jobs. And this is something that Joe doesn't have to worry about. So, you know, she can add to it, but we're trying to use a dedicated resource to attract the funding we need rather than it all being loaded on Joe's shoulders. That's the rationale.
Thanks, Tim, because prior to Trina's question, I was wondering again about the work, exactly what you've just said. It's just too hard. Councillor Jeffries and Councillor Tamaki.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, just a quick question about, do any of the stages include, provision for signage? And I have to say that when you come into town from the Carview end, the big Kiwi House sign at Appleys is looking very, very, sad. But did you also, have you got any plans to sort of upgrade that, but also perhaps look at additional signage elsewhere? Perhaps from the north end or whatever?
Yes, is the short answer. Absolutely, Pip. We wanted to go through a branding exercise with our trustees and get that sort of locked in terms of fit for the future. And from that, you'll see quite a relatively quick rollout of what we've been working on.
Kia ora, Jo. Kia ora, Tim. Just from my perspective, the thank yous for over 50 years of kaitiakitanga to a taonga that we often don't realise how special they are. So, ngā mihi korua. And the other thing, again, is just the ability to be at some of those hui that I have been at and see how well you've integrated lens of Māoridom through your fellas mahi, and giving back some of those huruhuru that those precious manu can live on through another 100 years in Porowai that are spread out through Maniapoto. So that's real a merit to use, because it's not an easy job, and also the mentorship that you've given, I know over the years, to rangatahi Māori to come and work in those spaces out of the kura. And so, yeah, I just wanted to mihi to use it. Mine isn't about budgets and that stuff. From a Māori perspective, money doesn't matter to us, but to know that our taonga is in good hands. And when I hear you talk about new babies being born and all of that stuff, gives me reassurance that when I'm looking at longevity in these spaces, that we are doing some really stuff. And so, yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. So, ngā mihi kōrua mō ngā koutou tīma. So, tēnā tātou.
Sure, thanks, Jamie. We do sometimes forget about the bigger picture, so thank you. On that bigger picture with those giant weta, I see part of the training program is the training and banding of animals and insects. So those weta that go out to Mamatautori, do they all have little bands on them? Are they tracked or what's the story?
They don't have bands. I wish they did, but they shed their skin so quickly we can't chase them. So they'll go out with little radio transmitters for the initial work. Yeah, but then they take their skin off, which is really annoying, because then you've got a lot of very expensive radio transmitters to find. We know that the early translocation of Mahanui giant weta from the reserve in Mahanui was successful in that another generation of footprints was found, but not in volume. So, 100 new weta is 3 times the known species in existence. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We've still got another 5 molts to get through to get them out onto Mahanui, out to Mangatautari, but it's pretty neat.
Oh, my comment, no, Joe, team, thanks. Thanks for what you do. But it was quite interesting. I looked at the internet the other day, and Nadia was being a Facebook star putting up what's happening today. And there's a comment there, and I thought, oh, I wonder what that comment is. So I clicked on it, and I'll just read it to you, because I think it's kind of what the Kiwi House means to our town. So pleased about the Kiwi House upgrade as a real asset to the town. I took some Australian visitors there last week. We were very impressed with it and loved the talk the girl gave about the Kiwis. I look forward to visiting again when the upgrades have been completed. So I think when all the money's forgotten one day, it'll still be there, just as what Jamie's saying. So, thank you.
Thanks, councillor. Any further things you want to add, you guys? Thank you.
No, just a note, so is someone scouting around Mangatotiri looking for dead skins with transmitters on?
Yes. They're really dear. Oh.
We'll be on their weekends, eh? Look, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Graham. For the 6 monthly update. And yeah, the best of luck in the future. Yeah, that the Ōtorohanga District Council received the report titled Ōtorohanga Kiwi House Progress Report, document number 739773 from Graham Munn, Group Manager Business and Entitlement, moved by Councillor Tamaki.
Enablement, not entitlement.
Was there others? Wow, it's amazing what I saw there, isn't it?
Slip, eh? What a slip.
Sometimes you just get that feeling. Moved Councillor Tamaki, second Councillor Dow, all in favour? Carried, thank you. That's it. I would like to declare the meeting closed. Before we do, can we have a closing karakia, please?
E te ata ka harawa, ka wā te tia mai mātou I tō mātou hui. Kana te mātou ki haere rimi ngā hurahi māua no ki mātou e para. Mātou e tiki manaki, māua no ngā hurahi. E para e whi mātou. Rei te kuna nei mātou. Tau kapai. Amine.
Amine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.